in a really good interview with The Times. Ancelotti doesn't really say much, does he, normally in interviews? He really seems to quite open up, saying, I had one system that I learned at AC Milan from Arrigo Sacchi. It was 4-4-2, and for this I refused to have Roberto Baggio at Parma because he wanted to play number 10. He was one of the best players in the world at the time, and I refused to have him because I just wanted to play with two strikers. Today, I would say, Baggio, come to Parma and we'll arrange the situation. Instead, I told him, listen, Roberto, there's no space for you. It was a mistake. And I tried to change my idea when I went to Juventus. I had Zidane and he was number 10. Should I put him right or left? Impossible. Zidane is the most important player in my team and he has to be number 10 and I have to adapt. From there, I always took into account the characteristics of the players to build the system. And what a system he has built over the years, Gab. Really frank, really interesting, some of his comments here in The Times.
Yeah,
I
look, you, Frank Gab.
Sorry. Sorry, I heard Frank. Sorry, I don't know
throw
why
me
I
when
heard
you
Frank.
said
Go
really
Gab, go
frank,
Gab.
to be fair. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll be
it's
frank.
right, it's what you said.
Those of us who've been...
Thank you.
Those of us who've been around Carletto Ancelotti are going to be familiar with these stories because he's told them all before. But it is remarkable. And, you know, when he mentions, you know, not wanting Roberto Baggio at Parma, he didn't just want him. He had a guy named Gianfranco Zola who he's like, oh, this guy's not good. You know, my strikers, Chiesa and Crespo, are better than him. What should I do with this guy? Well, he's literally dribbles past people. Let me put him on the wing. No, he doesn't do enough defending in wide areas. All right, screw this. I'm going to send him to Chelsea so he can go play with Frank Leboeuf. And then, of course, the rest, as they say, is history. So he's one of those guys who was extremely dogmatic, and he made the journey to becoming incredibly pragmatic. And, you know, this is why he understands the dogmatic managers. He understands the big idea managers, the ones who talk about philosophy and so on, who come in and say, no, we're always going to play a certain way. We're not going to worry about the opposition. He understands that because he was one of them. And he thrived as a player under one of them. And I think that is one of his strengths, along, of course, with the man management, the warmth, the honesty, and the ability to find new solutions, whether it's playing Valverde as a right winger or Camavinga as a left back, Chouameni at center back. There's been so many solutions that he's found over the years, and he quickly gets buy-in from players. Bellingham, another fine example of this, you know, turning him into a false 9 or number 10 when, you know, he was basically a much deeper line center midfielder his entire career. You know, he can do that because I think he has a pretty unique vision of the game.
I imagine it's quite difficult as a coach, Stevie, to kind of not rip up the game plan, but kind of having to second-guess yourself and actually think, well, maybe my system isn't the right system. And there must be managers that trip over themselves a lot because they think they're right. How difficult is it to come to the realisation, obviously, that Ancelotti did and continues to do?
Well, honestly, I think if you're so set in your ways that you're not going to take on board quality, then you're clearly not going to reach the top. And at the end of the day, if you're in a position where you can cherry pick the best players, that's a different ball game. But when you're given a set of players, you have to figure out what's going to work. Whether it's 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, whatever. You have to be open to what you have, to what you're going to mix, how you're going to make the cake with what you've got. And if you can do it the way this guy does it, the way Ancelotti does it, to the level that he does it, I mean, he gets the great players to be even better. He gets average players to produce incredible performances. But most of all, he puts a team together in different ways. And that's not easy. It's one thing to have your ideas how you want to play the game, but when something scuppers that, and you have to be able to turn round, particularly at a big club, and still get results, doing things that you would rather not do, and get everybody to believe in it, and then be at their best, that takes a special guy. And that's Ancelotti, a special guy.